I want to make a quick video that clearly displays my thoughts on when your child should use force in protecting themselves. The first scenario, Jackson shoves Lucy, so she responds by double-legging him and restraining him in a mount. Obviously, there's a lot of gray area in these scenarios, but quite simply, if another child puts their hands on your kid, whether it be a shove, a punch, a kick, anything at all to put their well-being at risk, then it's game on. But I would always gravitate towards jiu-jitsu first, grappling. Uh, it would give the least damage to both your child and the bully, and hopefully just a good takedown and restraint will let the bully know that your child is not an easy target. Um, there are other situations. The ground might be a factor. Obviously, if there's another bully involved, two bullies, I would not recommend using grappling. But if there's grass, sand, no one else is around, then take that bully down, whether it be a double leg, a body lock, a snap down, and just let them know that you're not an easy target. In the second scenario, Jackson swings at Lucy. She blocks it, punches him back, and gets out of there. So the level of intensity and violence has increased. No longer a shoving match. Now someone's throwing fists or kicks. In that case, punching is warranted, but only to the amount that will subdue the bully. One strike, he hits the ground. Amazing acting by Jackson. And then Lucy's out of there. That's all you need. Just one punch, just one kick, whatever it takes to stop the threat. Here's another scenario. Looks the same, where Jackson shoves Lucy. She uses jiu-jitsu, but then, oh my goodness, Jackson's buddy grabs her from behind. So, like I was saying, definitely be aware of your surroundings. This is a trickier situation because Leon is out of frame. Lucy doesn't know she's there, but generally the bullies will be right in front of your kid and they'll be able to see if it's one bully, two bullies, a whole pack of them. If that's the case, I would not recommend jiu-jitsu. The second you take them down, just like what Lucy did, you might get choked from behind, grabbed from behind, even worse, sucker punched. So you definitely don't want to use jiu-jitsu when you see there's more than one bully. You might kick one and knock one out, and then use some jiu-jitsu on the second one. But if there's multiple threats coming at you, then you need to keep your head on a swivel and not be so focused on just restraining one bully. On a lighter note, I do have to thank Leon, Lucy, and Jackson for being good sports. I pulled them out of class for like 5 minutes. I gave them the little Hollywood script and we rehearsed for like a couple minutes and they did great. I think Jackson's cut out for an action star role, and Lucy is like the next Charlize Theron, and Leon is like the bad guy in John Wick or something. In this last scenario, that's exactly what you should do against multiple attackers. Punch and run. Hit and run. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend kicking. I wouldn't recommend throwing long combinations, but look at Lucy's cornered here. Let's go for the smaller one. Smacked them. Shoved them. Used Jackson as a shield against Leon, and then got the F out of there. You want to strike. You want to be quick. You want to keep your hands up. and you want to just use your feet and run. You don't know if these kids have more friends, if they got a weapon, but just stay safe. From my experience dealing with parents whose kids are having trouble with bullies at school, uh, generally the schools are very, how should we say this nicely, political, lots of red tape. But at the end of the day, they're not protecting your kid out there on the schoolyard. You know, how is your kid supposed to flag down a teacher, a principal, whatever, when they're already shoved or hit or tripped? It's too late. So that's the biggest thing I want to instill in our kids, that they're not easy targets. We're not telling them to go out there and seek out every bully and beat them up, but we're saying if someone's messing with them, physical, it's easy. Do what you got to do. Take them down, hold them down, smack them around just enough so that they stop messing with you. But it's the continual harassment, the bullying of, flicking their ear. If your kids are old enough and they have cell phones and their social media stuff, that's much more complicated and something that this little video is not qualified to speak on. But if your child is physically assaulted or there's a threat of getting hurt, then do what you got to do to defend yourself. I tell the kids all the time that, you know, they may be worried about getting suspended or detention, but it's worse if you break a bone, you get a concussion, you're in the hospital. You read about stories all the time when kids letting the other kid throw the first punch, and they do, and then the bully punches them across the face and their head hits the curb, and now the kid's in a coma and or dies or something. So I know it seems extreme, and I tell even the peewees this, but hopefully it sinks in their heads that other kids shouldn't mess with them. And what could be even worse, let's say they do let these bullies mess with them and mess with them and shove them and kick them and give them flat tires and dead legs. And then all of a sudden, your kid's just going to snap one day. And, we all read the horrific things that happen at schools. And we don't want that to be your child, just picked on and teased. And again, this is all very extreme. And the likelihood of this happening to your child, probably not. You have them in martial arts with us and they're well adjusted, but you never know. Mental health is a huge part of this. But as long as your kid feels confident and is able to defend themselves, or at least puts up a good fight, and they're not hurt, but they're not picked on anymore by the bully, that's all that matters. Definitely have a conversation about this video with your kids. If you have any comments or disagreements, please let me know.